Hi, Debbie. I'm just going to scamper through these examples that you've sent me. I know you said you felt there were probably issues with each one, but actually you've done incredibly well, so I wouldn't feel bad about them at all. This one is, as you probably discovered, a lot trickier than one expects because, of course, each item, they kind of all share this vanishing point. So the swimming pool, these bleachers, the floor, but they're all kind of on different levels. So you've got the floor and the edge of the pool, then you've got this kind of dropping in to get the depth, which you showed beautifully. And then, of course, the first level of the bleacher, the second level of the bleacher. And you can see that our eye is round about on eye level at the top here with this, because we're not seeing the actual top surface, seating surface of the bleacher. So this, I wouldn't say there's anything to change here. You did a really great job. I'm sure you found it confusing. I can remember the first time I tackled it, I also found it pretty confusing. So well done on that. The only thing you could probably do is kind of slightly increase the angle of this. So make it more obvious that the closest end of these windows is slightly wider. Taller seeming than that. This one at the far end, perfect. Okay, so if we hop back into our gallery, let's go and take a look at this. Now, your version is so much better than the clip art version. I hope now, and I'm pretty certain you are seeing how the clip art is it looks okay, but actually it's just not ideal the way they draw it. But I mean, it's good enough, but you can do a better job. So the first thing to notice with this is probably this window. So if we just divide the side like this, what you're going to find is that that middle section of the window should go through the intersection of here. So this should be the middle of the window. If you take it like that and like that. So what I usually do is I would probably do my window something like this. If I take it like that, I might do it like that just because it gives me something to measure with. But one way or the other, yeah, so that is usually how I do it. If you've got a window which is perfectly centered, then I would do it like that. And this is I take it as a rule of thumb, it's usually about 2/3 here in the closer area, apparently, and a seemingly 1/3 away. So it looks like there's more this side of the center just because of the angling or the foreshortening. Okay, and so then your curtain would come like this, like that, and like that. And then similarly here, so I see that you did divide this. So what would happen is if we've got, let me just do it again so that we have it in red and we can see it easily. Okay, so the middle section here, if we take that as a perfect vertical, this is where the highest point of the door arch would be. So the door arch would basically be highest there, and then it would seem, again, with my funny little rule, about 1/3 of it on that side and about 2/3 on this side. Coming forward, so you did it well. And what I would do is just take this, so this third you can almost put the width of the wall, that the sort of shadow to say that that's where the door is. So just to remember that from the midpoint here, that would be the top of the arch. 1/3 like that, and 2/3 of the width of the door, seemingly on this side. Okay, the window at the top. Now, I know you said this was tricky, and I would agree with you. What I'm going to do is just quickly add a layer, and let us take ourselves a circle. So if we put a circle here, and I just make it a perfect circle, what I tend to do is I go and choose distort, and all I do is I drag out these sides a little bit like this. So I'm just trying to make it work the way I know it should work. So the far side should be slightly narrower, kind of squeezing down towards the vanishing point. And this side should be higher. So that is how I would do it. And then if we zoom in here, I would do this. So I'd kind of, well, actually, you know what? Let's do that. Pull this up a little bit more. Okay, let's just go back to where we were. Drag out, drag out. I can leave that one as it is. And what I would probably do is this to show the depth of that. And it might look a little bit odd to you, but it is pretty much accurate. And again, you can see if you look at this versus this, it's, in this case, it's probably about 1/4 to 3/4 in terms of the width, but that's good enough. You know, anything from at least 1/3, sometimes more, depending on the angle. So yeah, that is how you would do it. And if you think about, let's draw ourselves a box like this and fill it with a circle. Okay, not ideal. Let's draw the circle first and then put the box around it. Better plan. Okay, so there's our perfect circle. And if I then put a box around it, like this, okay, taking a little bit of time, but anyway. Okay, so there's our box. If I then, is it on a different layer? Let me just put it on its own layer so that I can work with it with transform. So copy paste. Here it is on its own layer. I'm going to hide the layer underneath. Okay, so now I want to distort this. So I'm going to stretch these up. You can see what's happening here, depending on how exaggerated I make it. The circle starts to change shape a little bit. So if we pull, okay, let's go like this, putting it back to normal. If I stretch it out, let's say like this, that's more like a floor kind of scenario. So that's how you could work a manhole, say a manhole cover in a tiled, or, you know, we call it a pavement here, but I think you call it something else, a sidewalk. Okay, so like a manhole cover and a sidewalk, there you could work that out like that. Or if you were looking at, say, a washing machine from an angle, you could just use distort like that. Okay, so that, you did a good job. I wouldn't be sad about that at all. I think you did great. Okay, this one, and I totally related to what she's saying about, I just wanted to give them a little tap and get them to do what I wanted. So what's happened here, and no amount of distort is going to help you, because what is happening is we are looking at an angle like that, and all that we need to do is change where we can see the inside of this tire. So this is showing as if the inside of we can look at the inside of the tire here, but that is not at all what is meant to be happening. So if I go in here and just color this in and make it sort of more of a circle, and here as well. So I'm just removing that inside. And then what I'm going to do is go here and you just change that. And that straight away pretty much fixes your tire scenario. You just have to make it work a little bit like this. So that is kind of what you're looking at to sort out your tires like that. And what you would end up having is you could narrow the other side. So you could narrow this a little bit more, narrow that down, because we wouldn't see as much of it on the far side. But actually, the heavy lifting is this area. I'm just going to do it a little bit darker even. So this, the kind of inside of the tire like that, that is what creates the effect for you. And then obviously, because this seems to squash down a little bit more because of the angle, that's how you end up getting your tires to work. And what you could also do is you could put, if you wanted to put the treads on here, so like this, to create more of a sense of this being a flat surface, this will come down like that, pretty much to the bottom. And that will come in. But as I say, most of the heavy lifting is by just showing this inside of the tire on the far side. So that is getting that correct. Here, this is great. So you've got this, the inside of this arch showing. If you wanted to, because this vanishing point is slightly to the left of this side, so effectively we might see this and this, because we are kind of in between that edge and that edge. So you could do that if you wanted to. Otherwise, this is looking great. So good job on all your perspective. And then let's just take a quick look at this. Actually, I copied and pasted this into here. All right. So you were worried that you hadn't really got the angle right, or that he looked more like he was standing. To be fair, this guy also looks like he's standing. The only thing that makes him not look like he's standing is the fact that we can't see his other foot. Okay. And then also, if you look at the way these lines are angled, that gives us that whooshing towards us feeling. Okay. So what you could do is, or what I usually do when I look at these, is you want to get that sense of the curving of his chest. Let me just find a color which is going to help us here. I think I might use this very pale. Okay, so what I usually do is I look for these curves which show that his chest is rounding out, and I make sure that I get those done really well. So first is the top of that thing going down like that, and then it'll be slightly foreshortened, so it'll be wide rather than long. And then we've got to get his belt in as well, and his belt's obviously got to be narrower than his chest. And then if you look at this, we've got this line and then this. Okay, so if we take that, and then this is slightly more back. So there and there, there and there, I would say. Okay, and then this comes here, and you just want a tiny bit of his toe to show at the bottom. Let me take this red. So you just want a little bit of the toe to show below his leg. And obviously this is can you see that this is quite an acute angle? Let me take this here. You can see that. So from his armpit straight down to his groin, that goes there. So you want to take this straight down like that. Quite a vicious angle, to put it for want of a better word. Okay, so that's how we end up getting this going. I wonder if I can fill this. Drag and fill. Yes, I can. Okay, so we filled that. We've got this lines coming straight down like that. We can fill in, if I take the yellow and put yellow like this. Maybe it'll fill, maybe it won't. Yes, it will. And then the far leg, I can't quite see it behind there, but it's not going to be, it's a fraction of the leg. Okay, so we're just going to see a fraction of the leg here and not too much of it. So you did really well. The only thing is just, it's refining a few little angles. So if we go and let me take the red like this. You can see this arm coming all the way up like this. You did this perfectly. And then this leg like that. This leg I've just made it slightly smaller and more streamlined. And the toe that's showing at the bottom here, I've made also just slightly smaller and more streamlined. This is great. What you can do is take this, so that thing of the arm goes pretty much all the way to the elbow and then comes round like that. You've done that well. This angle we discussed, going all the way straight to the groin like that. And then you want to get this, you really want to get these like that comet's tail, the meteor's tail. So if we take the yellow like this and say, okay, from here, like that, and then this one is pretty much like that. And we need everything to do its bit in between to give us that whoosh kind of feeling. But I would say you did a great job. All that I would do here as well is probably move his features slightly more to this side. And yeah, all in all, this was, I think, better than you gave yourself credit for.